Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, bunch of friends standing around a virtual water cooler talking about all our favorite stuff. And I am so thrilled today to be joined by an old friend of mine. You maybe have seen her in... you appeared in the movie The Disaster Artist. You were in Blacklist. You were you were the feature villain in one of the episodes this season of The Flash. Of course, you were one of the stars of one of my top 3 all-time favorite television shows, Spartacus. Miss Erin Cummings, ladies and gentlemen, is here.
Hi, John. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being had. I'm really glad I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while.
I'm honest. I'm so thrilled. And yes, it has been a long time.
It has been.
I just posted our picture from 11 years ago, from when we first became friends.
That's when we met, when you did Bitch Slap.
Yeah, we did Bitch Slap, and so Julia Voth and America Olivo and I, because we were guerrilla style trying to promote Bitch Slap, we went to the Masters of the Web panel and strategically positioned ourselves in the back of the room wearing the most inappropriate attire one can wear at 10 o'clock in the morning, including red lipstick, push-up bras, fishnet pantyhose, and we promptly got an invitation to the party.
And another person who came up showing today in fishnets and pantyhose, but I told her that's not appropriate for this show. Mm-hmm. Of course, we've got here Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how you doing today?
I'm great. Hello. Good morning. Yeah, he made me change. Sorry, guys.
It's just not the kind of show that we do around here. Well, listen, guys, we got a bunch of stuff we want to talk about today. So let's go to our main topics. How do we select our main topics? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select our main topics by emailing me anytime, 24/7, to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. With that out of the way, Ashley, what's up first?
Okay, the first one of the day is from Gabe. He says, good morning. I was on Reddit and saw the poster for Netflix upcoming horror flick Velvet Buzzsaw and looked it up, and I am shocked that no one seems to be talking about it. Jake Gyllenhaal, Renee Russo, Toni Collette, John Malkovich starring, and Dan Gilroy, Nightcrawler, directing. What do you think?
Okay, at first, I kind of didn't even bother. I had people on the live show writing to me and asking, well, as soon as this trailer dropped, have you seen this Velvet Buzzsaw? I keep wanting to say Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
Have you seen this Velvet Buzzsaw trailer? And I said, nah, it's a Netflix movie, blah, blah, blah. I'll take a pass on that for now. I'll get around to watching it. But I was curious because you do have that Nightcrawler re-teaming with Gilroy, Renee Russo, Jake Gyllenhaal. So that's interesting. So I finally get around to watching it yesterday. And it starts off and I'm like, it's a little pretentious. Okay, it's about there's going to be some highbrow thing about a guy in the art world who maybe goes a little crazy. And then it totally takes a left turn.
Yeah.
And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that trailer for that new James Gunn produced Superman twist movie, Brightburn. You know, it starts off one way. It's like, this is just a Superman ripoff. And then all of a sudden it takes a wild turn. That's what this trailer reminded me of. And, you know, you got Dan Gilroy directing, who did such an amazing job with Nightcrawler. He then followed it up with an underrated film, in my opinion, the Denzel Washington one, Israel Esquire. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really well done. He's coming back to do this. Now, I will say this, though. After I watched it, and I loved the trailer, I asked myself, okay, if this wasn't Dan Gilroy directing, and if it wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal in it, and Renee Russo, and on, if it wasn't them in it, and it was just like unknown players, would I still consider this really awesome looking, or would I consider it kind of a B-looking horror movie? And to be honest, I think I would consider it looking like a little bit like a B-rated horror movie. But it does have these people in it, which gets my expectations really up. So I'm excited about it. Erin, you had a chance to check out this trailer. What did you think of the Velvet Buzzsaw trailer?
I loved it. I thought it was really engaging. It captured my attention I wouldn't say immediately. I was a little skeptical like you, but I knew that I'd heard about it from you. So I said, all right, let me invest some time in here. And the second that things started crawling out of the paintings, that was so exciting and was something that I hadn't seen before. But it's interesting that you say that Jake Gyllenhaal and Renee Russo are sort of the bar that you go, oh, wow, this is really something. Because for me, it's Toni Collette and John Malkovich.
Well, yeah.
I have not been really excited about a Jake Gyllenhaal movie since Donnie Darko. I gotta be honest, like for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
I mean, I might be excited about the movie itself, but Jake Gyllenhaal is not necessarily the draw to get me in. Toni Collette, I'll see anything that she does. But I'm really excited about it, and I will definitely see it. I am curious though, What about it being a Netflix film makes you say, maybe not? Is it because you have access to it anytime? There's not the
No, I think part of the problem has been, although it's starting to change now, that for me, Netflix has got a pretty damn good track record of this original series they put out. Mm-hmm. Most of their movies are shit.
Got
and
it.
horrible shit that they go and pick up from people who have nowhere else to put it. And like that Cloverfield movie they put up last year was just, oh my God. But I mean, that's changing. We've had Bird Box, which is pretty solid.
Oh, for
By the way,
sure.
also with John Malkovich.
Yes.
We've got Roma, which I admit I'm not a huge fan of Roma, but it is 99% positive it's going to win Best Picture at the Oscars this year. It's turning around. Now you got stuff like this. And I think I need to start re-examining my reactions to original Netflix because they are turning things around. Speaking of Toni Collette, though, I will say this. Every year we've got a few things that we think might be snubs at the Academy Award nominations.
I know where this is going.
There are only two real, I think, true snubs. One is Toni Collette for Hereditary. I was flabbergasted, absolutely floored when I realized, like, wait a minute, where's Toni Collette? I still, for the life of me, cannot believe it. The only bigger snub than that was, of course, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life, Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Fred Rogers one. I thought it was going to win easy. And then it didn't get nominated. And my jaw's still on the floor about that. So,
well,
anyway.
And also Black Panther getting a Best Picture nomination and then no other nominations for anyone else involved.
Well, I mean, it did get 6 nominations, but none of the major categories.
Well, that's what I mean.
No
Yeah,
actor,
sorry.
no actress, no director, no whatever.
Director,
And only
right.
the third film in 25 years to be nominated for Best Picture without also a nomination as either director, actor, supporting actor, actress, supporting actress, cinematography,
That's
or
what I'm saying. I don't
screenplay.
understand it.
Yeah, well, we had that whole debate on the show yesterday. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. What's next?
Yeah, and you gotta love John Malkovich. Right now, I feel like he's just always like, "I'm John Malkovich, and you're all idiots." Like
Right,
that's
he's
like
just
his
the
like,
curmudgeonly man.
Oh, we love him.
Get off
He is
my
that-
lawn.
He's
Yeah.
that in Bird Box, too, and we love him as that.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. The next one's from Felix Agnon. Would you like to see the Academy Awards to release the runner-up in other positions? So instead of a winner and nominees, we would know what the Academy's second, third, and choices and so on. I'm just always curious to know what the actual rankings are behind the scene, or could they just tell everyone who the runner-up was? What do you think? Would you like this, John?
It's an interesting concept, and I've heard other people bring this up before. The idea is, hey, you should don't just say the winner, run it down for us. 2 problems I have with that. The smallest problem I have with that is you're going to add about 20 minutes to the Oscar broadcast,
Right.
just with the countdown and the whatever.
Yes.
My
Good
biggest problem is this, and I don't know, maybe this isn't good logic, but this is the way I feel about it. There is an honor to just being nominated for an Academy Award.
Yep.
There is a high honor. And I don't see why you should belittle that honor by saying, in last place is so, like, I just don't see it. You know what? There's the nominees, and of the nominees, one winner. Why announce second place? Second place is just first loser. So just say, here are the nominees. These are the performances. These are the jobs done. These are the motion pictures that we honor. And of this group being honored, we give special honor to the winner of this. And I'm perfectly good without having a countdown rundown because that just keeps all the rest of the nominees as nominees, not an asterisk. Well, nominee, but she came in last. Like, I don't want that. I don't need that. And it just adds unnecessary time. But as an actress, who I'm sure every time you've been cast in a role, you're imagining your either Oscar or Emmy acceptance speech in your head.
No, I imagine this acceptance speech when I'm auditioning for the role.
Got it. Okay,
And usually
Back
those
it
are
up
the
a
roles
little
that I
bit.
don't get.
Right.
I'm like, this is definitely going to get me an Emmy. I can feel it. And then they go, yeah, no.
So what do you think? Would you want to see like a countdown, like a
No,
5 to 1?
why does it matter? It serves absolutely no purpose other than fulfilling someone's initial curiosity. And I agree with you that putting it in some sort of rank creates a quote last place. To compare a little bit, I feel like it's a similar thing in sports. My husband and I were big Notre Dame fans, and so
Great season.
Oh, fantastic!
Great
Thank you.
season.
Fantastic season, undefeated season, and we went to the Cotton Bowl to see them beat Clemson, which is a an incredibly difficult team,
Yes.
especially this year. I mean, they're really hard to beat. And so when we got to the Cotton Bowl, and yes, we got smoked. I will accept that. And everybody was so defeated by that. And I said, no, we can't throw away an undefeated season where we came to win we didn't come to win in USC. We came to win in the second half of USC. I was like, you guys better step it up. But it's the same thing as this attitude of, well, gosh darn it, we didn't go all the way. And I just say, you don't have to win the Academy Award to have the honor of being nominated, which is why for the rest of your career, you will be referred to as Academy Award nominee John Campea.
Right. Yeah,
Those
are words
there's
on
an
there to
honor
be
in
said.
that, not fifth place Academy Award nominee. I just don't think it has no value.
Yeah, unnecessary. So, Ashley, you get nominated for an Academy Award.
Yes.
Would you? Let's assume for a second, in the unlikely event that you don't win. All right. So
Very unlikely.
In the
Boo-hoo.
unlikely
Yes.
event that you don't win, do you want? Would you like, as a performer, third place at the Oscars, so and so, fourth place, second place, or would you just want to be known as a nominee?
Yeah, just a nominee. Hell no. I would not want people to be like, oh, she came in fourth. Like, it's just nice you come in second. Everyone comes in second. It's pretty nice. But I understand, like, maybe privately, like, if people want to know, like, what are the rankings, that makes sense. Like, if they told, like, my team of people or the film and everybody, they're like, oh, you guys were the runner-up. Maybe that would be nice, but I would not want it publicly announced at all.
I'd say tell all the losers they came in second. Just
of
don't
course.
tell. Listen, I'm
No,
not supposed to
exactly.
tell you this, so don't put this around. But you were in. Just tell them all that.
Also,
make them feel good.
it would be more of people to rant about. Like, they'd be like, well, Black Panther should have been in third, not second. Or,
Yeah.
It just
I feel like it'd just be
gives
more
people,
conflict.
exactly. Any more reason to complain
Yeah,
about things.
exactly.
Absolutely.
And
All
also,
right.
if I know I'm not going to win, I just want to go straight to the bar.
Yeah, go
Throw my
right to
picture
the
up
after
on
party.
there. No, the bar at the Academy Awards
right
is
there.
apparently amazing.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Steve Calderon says, do you believe we'll ever see James McAvoy return for a Wanted sequel? The film was in the first box office hit for him as a leading man. It earned $341 million worldwide against a production budget of $75 million. There were reports of a sequel in the works, but so far, no new updates about the project for years. After the success James has had with the X-Men films, Split and Glass, is it too late now for Universal to make Wanted 2 with him? What do you think? Do you think it's too late?
I think it's too late. I do, which is unfortunate. And because I don't care what anybody else says. I really like Wanted. I did. Now, I understand the Loom of Fate was a little cheesy. Yes, the Loom of Fate is a little cheesy. I get that. You read prophecies and the way that a quilt is knitted together. I know, it sounds weird, but I liked it. But there's a couple of things here why I don't think that James McAvoy's current success would automatically make a studio want to go back and revisit Wanted. Number one, James McAvoy hasn't had a really big, huge blockbuster hit. I mean, so Split, for its budget, was very successful. But it's not like it made $700 million at the box office, right? But it's successful. Thumbs up. Glass came out as second or third highest opening in a January in cinematic history. That's great, but it's still a $40 million opening. I mean, you're not going to go bust down the doors for other things like that. With the X-Men stuff, it was really more ensemble stuff. And honestly, when I think of First Class, I think more of Michael Fassbender. If I was holding the early odds right now for the 2020 Academy Awards, right now I would say James McAvoy should get a Best Actor nomination for his performance in Glass. What he did in Glass still makes my head spin. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen on screen a guy do what he did in that, and it's remarkable, even though I didn't like the movie all that much. But the big thing to keep in mind here is this. Wanted was not a James McAvoy movie. It was an Angelina Jolie movie. Not a lot of people knew the name. A lot of people don't even remember. Chris Pratt was in that movie too. Oh, right. But the name everybody went to at the time for was Angelina Jolie, and you're right. They were trying to get another one done for a while. They were trying to get another one going. But they were having a difficult time of how do we get Angelina Jolie's character back? How do we do this? And it was all revolving around her. And I think if you're going to do one today, it would still have to be with Angelina Jolie. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think so. But, with current, new success with an actor enjoying bigger success today, should they be looking at going back to one of James McAvoy's movies and sequeling it up because of that?
I mean, I think that I follow a philosophy in life that you can get anything that you want if you ask the right question to the right person at the right time. And so I feel like if Universal really wants to do this, they just have to have the right script with the right director and make an offer to James McAvoy that he can't refuse if they want to really make it happen. And there is a world in storytelling where maybe it's not James McAvoy right now. Maybe it's James McAvoy at another time where story-wise, it wouldn't make sense for Angelina Jolie's character to even be involved in it.
Right.
I mean, there's always ways to play around with sequels, and I mean, how long have people been talking about doing The Professional again?
Oh,
the
yeah.
sequel to The Professional, and I'm sure
Natalie Portman's available, isn't she? Yeah.
Well, and I've heard reports that she's
Same age.
interested in doing it as long as it's the right script and the right you got to create the perfect storm. So I wouldn't write it off as never being a possibility. And hey, you never know. Maybe in 5 or 10 years things slow down for James McAvoy and he wants to put a new deck on the back of his house and he goes, "Hey, where's that 1 and 2 script?"
All right, let's move on. What's next?
All right, next one is Peter Hong. Any news buzz surrounding the Serenity movie that opens this week? With a cast including Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, would you think we would have heard at least some buzz? But the Rotten Tomatoes page is still dark, so I assume the embargo hasn't lifted yet, which is obviously a bad sign. Trailer looked intriguing enough. What do you think? Have you heard about this Serenity movie? I mean, it opens this week. There's big names in it. What's going on?
It's not just McConaughey and Hathaway. You're Jason Clarke, Diane Lane. One of my favorites, Jaimon Hansu, who I've been a massive fan ever since Amistad, and he's going to be in Captain Marvel, by the way. Keep your eyes open for that. And this movie looks like shit.
Yeah.
I'm a McConaughey fan. I'm a rah McConaissance forever, baby. But we are now re-entering the age of failure to launch McConaughey. Unfortunately, and I saw this trailer, and I thought, wow. There's nothing in this that's appealing to me whatsoever. I was not interested. Now, the reviews, it's funny you wrote that email when you did, because the reviews for the film have just started coming in today. They just lifted the embargo today, the day the movie opens. Imagine that. Always a giant red flag. And as you can guess, they're not really kind. The last I checked, it's sitting around 29% was the last that I checked. And a lot of people are saying, like, they're not giving away what it is, but they're saying, the twist will make you want to stick your head in a toilet. Like that it's just terrible. Now, some people are liking it, and maybe you will too. I am unabashed in my love of Matthew McConaughey. I think McConaughey is a magnificent actor. He's got a charm about him that is very difficult to bring to the screen. And when you put him in the right role, he can crush it. I even like him when you just get these silly, supposed to be brainless, rom-com kind of scenarios. He fits in great with those.
Yes.
But he's also been in some movies. Like, what was that? Oh, that one that I thought was going to be an Oscar winner for sure. And then I saw that Free State of Jones he did. It was like, oh my God, it was so bad. I had zero interest in seeing it. Then they held off the review embargo until the day the movie comes out. Increases my zero interest. Seeing the reviews increases zero interest. So the trailer never appealed to me at all, and it never felt to me like the studio was getting behind it and really supporting it or had any faith in the film. So I don't know why you should have faith in the film if they don't. Do you have any any engine revving to want to see this movie?
The engine that was revving inside of me was just expelling laughter. I'm sorry. It was really hard for me to watch it without laughing because, first of all, the beginning, I felt like I was watching a Lincoln commercial, where it's just Matthew McConaughey.
Some people think they know everything.
Right.
But they don't know anything. With turbo power four-wheel. Yeah.
Yes, and I kept imagining the opening to CSI Miami that David Caruso was just going to rip off his sunglasses. And even Anne Hathaway's, these one-liners, I thought, are we doing a noir film? I don't understand. I still have no idea what the film is about. They definitely make sure that we know that there's Academy Award winner, Academy Award nominee. They make sure that we know we have the big names. But similarly to what you were saying earlier, I felt like if you took out all of these big names and inserted random actor who's done 3 student films off the street, it would look like a B movie with a big budget for a boat. I don't know what it's about. I thought the performances just in the trailer were comical, and I have no interest in watching that movie.
And it's too bad too, because I also, as much as I love McConaughey, I love Anne Hathaway. I do.
Yes.
And you got an Interstellar reunion going on, and they're not
fantastic actors.
See, if I was a studio, I'm playing that up. Interstellar castmates reteam for a blah. I'd be playing that. So we've got 2 trailers here. We're talking about Velvet Buzzsaw with a Nightcrawler reunion. We've got this with an Interstellar reunion, and one looked good and one just did not.
And if you're going to create that big of a build up for whatever this twist is, the twist better be solid. And hear reports that the twist is going to make you want to stick your head in a toilet, I'm already like, nope. Pass.
It's good that you're hearing reports at all, because I am not even familiar with this movie. I haven't heard any buzz about it. I haven't seen any billboards about it, and pretty much nothing. And I just feel like also the title. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Like, come on. Why do you have to steal Joss Whedon's title? Yeah. Why do you have to steal Firefly's title? And that's the thing. Like, we saw, like, they barely marketed this thing at all, which is screaming to us, the studio does not believe in this film.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they hold out the review embargo, screaming again, we don't believe in this film, so why should we believe in this film? All right, let's move on to the last email today.
All right, Bobby Drummond says, "Hey, John, I was watching the newest Weekly Hero. I love that show, by the way.
Thank you.
You and Robert were talking about X-Men Dark Phoenix, and what you were saying broke my heart. My question is, do you think there is any chance left that this movie could surprise us? I'll keep my fingers crossed. Thank you for all you do, and let the filthy flow."
All right. Okay, so this is breaking my heart here. So if for those of you who did not see the Weekly Hero yesterday with me and Robert, here's the thing. You guys know that I have been telling you forever, whenever you hear reports of there was a test screening and people gave it a standing ovation, I'm like, never listen to that, because reports don't come out from test screenings. That's why they're test screenings. Then when you hear there were test screenings and people hated it, BS. Like, sure, there were test screenings. There were not real reports about that. BS. So we've seen that on both extremes. That early cuts and everybody loves it, and then turns out to be a crappy movie. Early cuts and everybody hates it, turns out to be a fantastic movie, right? And I always tell you guys that. And then all these people whispering, oh, Dark Phoenix is a mess. But I tell you, know what? Just ignore all that noise. Ignore all that noise. This movie is going to turn out to be just fine. Then the trailer comes. And a lot of people complaining about the trailer. And I say, screw that. I think this trailer looks fun. I like the trailer for X-Men Dark Phoenix. And I've been telling you guys, keep your heads up. I believe in this. Like, I'm a little shaky that they've got a director for doing as a first-time director on a movie this size. And that's fine. Although he knows X-Men better than anybody else in the world, but still. Well, then I was talking to somebody about a week ago who is very connected to this. And they just said to me, the only 2 words they said to me, I didn't ask for any details, nothing. It's terrible. Now, I'm like, okay, it's just one guy's opinion. There are people out there who think The Dark Knight is terrible. There are people out there who think The Godfather is terrible. They do exist. So I'm like, okay, it's one guy saying it's terrible. Well, then Robert, who is better connected in this industry than I am, Robert gets this full length write out from somebody that is very closely connected. Not only saying this is awful and terrible, but goes out to lay out the film and like all the things they've done wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it's just absolutely terrible. So anyway, we talk about this on the Weekly Hero yesterday. As a result of the Weekly Hero going up, just before I go to bed last night, I lay in bed every night, grab my tablet, go over my email, Twitter, whatever. And an email comes in from somebody I haven't actually talked to in a couple of years, but who is very interconnected into this whole situation. And they were like, hey, saw your thing on Weekly Hero today. This movie they used the word disaster.
Oh, wow.
They said this is a disaster. There's actual panic going on right now.
Man.
They really don't know what to do with it at this point. And on and on and on and on. Some people bring up the question about why did they even make this movie in the first place? And I will confess, even though I have been very enthusiastic about it and telling you guys, don't you panic about this. This is X-Men. This is going to be wonderful. Look at the role Fox is on. They did X-Men First Class. They did X-Men Days of Future Past, one of the 10 best comic book movies ever made, by the way. They did Logan, which was the best film of 2017, by the way. They did Deadpool, which is amazing. They did Deadpool 2. This group is on a roll. Let's sweep X-Men Apocalypse under the rug for a second. And then to hear all this stuff and see all this stuff, and I'm telling you what, I'm already heartbroken. Now, let's put this with a giant grain of salt. This is still just the opinion of a couple of people. That could be very different from my opinion once I see it, and could be very different from your opinion once you see it. Maybe I'll see it and I'll think it's the greatest movie ever made. Maybe you'll see it and think it's the greatest movie ever made. That's completely possible here. This is just a couple of people's opinions. So let's not get overwhelmed and start losing control here. But I do got to tell you what, it breaks my heart a little bit because I have been a fan of this franchise since X-Men 1. I think X-Men 2 is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. I want them to, and this is going to be the last real film, X-Men universe film, notwithstanding New Mutants, but the real core X-Men film that we are going to get before Disney takes over Fox and they wipe that universe away. And I really want them to go on a high note. So I don't know. Now, Erin,
yes.
As somebody who is not like a hardcore comic book movie fan, like a lot of the nerds on this show.
Love the nerds.
What's kind of your impression of the X-Men films? And when you hear about where this is going, and what did you think of the trailer of all the stuff you've heard and seen about the movie coming out? Where have your expectations been for where this thing would be?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. When you say it's one person's opinion, the issue with that is that one person, who is it? Is it my grandmother? Is it my next door neighbor? Or is it someone who has a legitimate, valuable, position who knows the audience? The X-Men audience is more discerning than, say, the 50 Shades of Grey audience, who can say, who
Really?
don't necessarily care if it's the greatest film ever or if it follows a certain, there is a certain, the audience is just more discerning and they have higher expectations. And so I think that when you're talking about people's opinions who are closely connected to the film and they know where that bar is, that is concerning. And I do think it's frustrating and it's sad because this franchise has been so exciting and has launched the careers of many people and therefore deserves to be able to go out on a high note if this is in fact the last one.
Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, the one bit of nervousness I've had about this film has been the fact that we've had Simon Kinberg, who's going to be directing it. Simon Kinberg, who is a king in this industry as a writer and as a producer. He's overseen some of the biggest and best comic book films ever. He's great. But I was always just a little bit nervous as a guy who's never even directed a short film, to just have him step in. And people go, yeah, but John, he knows X-Men better than anybody. What does that have to do with directing? Do you remember that awful Dungeons & Dragons movie? There are very few people on the face of the earth who know more about Dungeons & Dragons than the dude who directed that movie. And that movie sucked. So, I've been nervous about that. Is this an issue of the script? Is this an issue of directing? Or is it no issue at all and this movie is actually perfectly fine? We're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, do we know exactly what they're saying is wrong with the movie?
Yes, but I ain't going to share that.
Oh, okay.
That would get into spoilery territory stuff.
Got it.
I cannot do that. But I just don't know. Again, this could be a situation where, number one, bad information is being passed on through a broken telephone line. Maybe it could be a situation.
Multiple broken telephone.
Yeah, maybe.
Lines?
Hey, it's
when
happened.
it's multiple broken telephone. I don't know.
It's happened. Also, this could be a matter of, hey, this is just a couple of people's opinions, regardless of what position that they're in, or it could be something we need to panic about. And as somebody who has been telling you guys to relax, this movie's going to be great. It's a little bit embarrassing that I got to get on here and tell you now. Actually, now even I'm, from people I'm trusting, hearing that this movie may not be so good. But hey, let's temper our expectations and let's see what. I still believe this, though. There are still people saying Disney's just not going to let this movie get released. Why would they do that? The money's been spent.
Yeah.
It's not they're going to save any money. The money has been spent. You might as well put it out in theaters and get $250 million back. Like,
and just do a Serenity press junket. Just
yes.
not tell anybody that it's coming out.
They think
Yes.
that it's so bad that they're thinking about not releasing it.
That's what people are speculating, but
Wow.
I don't believe that's true at all.
No.
I don't
Okay.
believe there's any. It would make no financial sense. There's no financial reality that exists that it would be a good idea not to release the film, because you're just, even if the film is one of the biggest flops ever and only makes like $250 million, that's $250 million you're leaving on the table.
Right. You're going to try to recoup some of your losses.
Yeah. You
Guys,
gotta
it's like,
recoup
it's
some
like
losses.
Fire Fest, you know? Like, you just
Oh,
have to recoup
I
that
knew
money
you had
no
to go
matter what.
Yep.
Just do
What's
it.
the guy's
Now
name?
I'm looking forward to that winning, to that getting a
Best
nomination for best
documentary.
documentary.
Yeah.
One of the two, Hulu, Netflix, are gonna have to battle it out
What?
for first and second place in the Oscars next year.
What was the guy's name? Was it Billy? Was that the
Yes.
dude?
Billy.
I can just see his
Con artist Billy.
the
McCormick?
opening,
Yeah,
the
but,
opening night of Dark
yeah, I
Phoenix,
think so.
and Billy is standing up on a crate telling everybody, "No, it's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah, it's
everybody
fine,
relax."
it's
Yeah, we
Fine.
need Billy.
Just
we need
go
Billy
grab
to
a
sell this
tent.
movie.
Yeah, we got tents sitting up
If
along
you
the
were
streets of
promised
Hollywood
a
Boulevard.
villa, yeah, screw that. Just go get a tent.
He's like, you
You're
guys
fine.
are all getting popcorn, and everyone just gets like one nacho. They're like,
right,
what
a
is
piece
happening?
of bread with like an
Yeah.
American
By
slice
the way,
on
I
it.
know a lot of you guys are going, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Oh.
Watch the Fire, FYRE documentary on Netflix or Hulu right now. Both of them are really
You
good.
should
They're
watch
very
both
different.
of them.
It's kind of crazy. All right, guys. With all those main topics out of the way, we like to save some time around here to take your live questions. So let's jump over and do those right now. Ashley, what do we got?
All right. The first live question is from Tobias Friedley. He says, just watched Spider-Man 3 for the first time. Not as bad as everyone says, but not great. Still had fun.
You know what? That is the great thing about movies, is the subjectivity of it. I do think that movie's a little bit of a dumpster fire. But hey, that's because I felt that way. Doesn't mean you can't watch. You know what? Maybe, Tobias, sometimes I've found this. I've had the benefit. Sometimes it's a bad thing to get overhyped for a movie before you see it. Sometimes there's a benefit to having completely zero expectations and watching
Right.
it, and you can then recognize some of the good things in the film. I still think the movie was quite bad, but you saw it and had a good time with it, and that's the most important thing. All right, what's next?
Snake Jerusalem, do you think Glass would have turned out better if Shyamalan had taken more time to develop it? It was written, shot, and edited in less than a year.
No, I mean, really, it doesn't take more than a year to shoot and edit a film like this. I mean, it really doesn't take that long. Plus, M. Night has said for a while he's had the idea what he wanted to do with this movie in his mind for a very, very, very long time. And remember, I don't like Glass, but there are a lot of people who do. So there are people that this movie worked for, and that's awesome. But I don't know if taking more time would have been necessary, because it doesn't seem to be like a project that would take that long to make. So, no. All right, what's next?
Alex Perez, last year was Logan, this year A Quiet Place. If a studio wants the Oscar for Best Picture, they better wish John doesn't say their movie is the best.
No kidding. I'm like, it's like the Madden curse. Is it the Madden game, Ray? That like the moment a Madden game gets put, like a player gets put on the cover of that year's Madden, they break their leg, or they have to retire early or something. It's like the curse. I called Logan the best film of 2017. Didn't get nominated for Best Picture. I called A Quiet Place the best picture of 2018. Did not get nominated for Best Picture. Did you have any particular film that you really thought should have gotten nominated, or anything that was really omitting for you out of the Oscars this year that jumped out to you?
No, but let me think about it.
It was a pretty non-surprise, other than Toni Collette and Won't You Be My Neighbor. It was a pretty non-surprising. I mean, not necessarily exactly what I would have given, but it was a pretty safe one. And that's not bad. It's not bad. All right, what's next?
James Welsh, thoughts on CW doing a Lost Boys TV show?
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I love The Lost Boys.
Love The Lost Boys.
It's probably my favorite vampire movie of all time.
And it doesn't age. I actually recently watched that at a friend's bachelorette party. We all just kind of gathered around and watched The Lost Boys, and I love it. And I went to an outdoor screening of it last year. I am a big fan of Lost Boys, and I think that interestingly enough, there's a lot of young people that have no idea what Lost Boys is, and I feel like if there's a TV show that can introduce an entire generation to the Lost Boys and make them go back and watch the original, I'm not opposed to it. There are things that beat the original. I would rather them do a television version of it versus trying to remake the original film.
Other than Supernatural, which I've been a huge fan of for a decade and more, I've always been very leery of anything on CW that isn't superhero related. Again, other than Supernatural. I was never a Gossip Girl kind of guy. I was never. Sorry, Ryan.
You weren't?
No,
What?
go figure.
I mean, are we all shocked out here?
I don't have a lash girl. Yeah. So I don't know. I have to see. I have to see what direction they're going in. I'm gonna have to wait and see what direction they're going in. All right.
Okay.
Next.
Well, what network would you see that on? What network would you see a Lost Boys?
Let's put it this way: if HBO announced they were doing a Lost Boys series.
Oh, well,
I'd be like,
but that would be very different. That would be very different, of course.
Yes, so that's what I would be looking for. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, I'll need to see what kind of direction they're going with, and then I'll make up my mind. Right now, I'm a little dubious. That's all. All right, what's next?
James again says Fox's X-Men deserves to go out on a high.
They do, and they were trying. I mean, look, even if the movie turns out to be bad, and remember, it may turn out to be great, but even if it turns out to be bad, never forget they were trying to make it good. Like, whatever happens with it, even if the movie ends up being sucking, don't ask, well, why didn't they send it off on a good note? They were trying to send it off on a good note. Believe that 100%. All right, what's next?
Ben Jesus, no matter what, X-Men DOFP will still be the best X-Men movie to me with the younger cast. Dark Phoenix is unforgettable even before it comes out.
First of all, Days of Future Past is, I think, one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's remarkable. It's still in my top 10 best comic book movies of all time. It's just wonderfully done. The cast is done perfectly and wonderfully. It's just a great story. Doesn't stick very close to the comic book story of Days of Future Past. It takes a lot of liberties, but still just magnificent. I love that film. And just good. Let's see. All we can do is keep our fingers crossed for Dark Phoenix at this point. All right, what's next?
Lucas Foster, 0 over you 50%. That Mystique. That Mystique does send what?
Over under.
Over under. God, guys. Over
There's
under
not a
50%.
space there. I can see how it can be missed.
That Mystique does in first half of the film.
Over under 50% that Mystique dies in the first half of the film. I am taking over 50%. I will go to the probability. Yeah, I'm guessing over. Look, we all know Mystique dies in this franchise, and quite frankly, Jennifer Lawrence should have walked out of this franchise years ago. I love Jennifer Lawrence. She's one of the best actresses in the business, but you've been able to tell for about 3 movies now that she doesn't give a shit about these films, and she sleepwalks through these ones. She's amazing in everything else. I think
maybe
they're killing.
She's trying to recoup her losses from American Hustle, not getting
that
paid
could be it.
of
Yes,
equal stature. I'm just saying.
I'm going to take the over. I think she dies early. I think that funeral scene we see in the trailer, and I'm not saying this from any position of knowledge. I'm just speculating like you guys. I think that funeral takes place probably in the first half of the second act. That's my guess. All right, what's next?
Tyler Eats, do you ever like a trailer better than the actual movie? That's how I felt about Vice. I liked the movie, but I loved the trailer.
All the time. All you guys do. All of us do. Trailers are corporately manufactured pieces of manipulation meant to trick us into giving them our money. So it's easier to make a movie look good in a trailer. So like all the Transformers movies, trailers amazing. The Phantom Menace was one of the best trailers I've ever seen. I mean, so we see it all the time. Do you have any particularly that really jump out to you that like the trailers made you go, oh my God, I'm going to love this movie, and then you went to go see the movie and it's like,
Nothing's jumping out at me, but I feel like that's what comedies do so often is comedies always put the funniest stuff in the trailer, and then you go and you watch the movie and you say, okay, well, I've already laughed at all this at my house.
And there's nothing else.
And there's nothing else going on here. Yeah. A lot of the rom-coms. The Matthew McConaughey's.
The Matthew McConaughey stuff. All right, what's next?
Spencer Main, First Class and Logan are only good X-Men films.
Oh, pshaw on that. X-Men, X-Men 2, Deadpool, Days of Future Past. So pshaw on you, Spencer. I mean, it's all subjective. If those are the only ones that work for you, that's totally fine. But I say pshaw on you, sir. All right, what's next?
Monk's Den, trying to understand why this movie was made in the first place.
Probably talking about, and I asked that question myself specifically. Like, I from the day that they announced it, I'm glad they're doing another X-Men movie, but why are they doing Dark Phoenix again? I mean, they already kind of winked at Dark Phoenix in X-Men Apocalypse, but it would be best if we just all forgot about X-Men Apocalypse. I'm with you. I don't quite understand what they're going for. As a fan of the X-Men and as a fan of this franchise and as a fan of the trailer, I still don't really even know what this movie's about. And you're right. I'm really not quite sure why they thought to make this particular movie in the first place.
The movie art actually reminds me a lot of the original Red Sonja poster that Rose McGowan.
Oh, yes.
Remember
Yes,
that
it does.
poster
Yep.
when it was Rose McGowan and it was supposed to be directed
Robert Rodriguez.
by Robert Rodriguez.
Yep.
And yeah, she looked like she was all up in flames. The art is very similar.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. All right, what's next?
The other black guy, can you... Oh, this is a musical question.
Uh-oh.
Can you hum the original Superman theme and opening Star Wars theme back to back? Also, hashtag justice for Han.
No, hashtag Han had it coming. Well, I mean, everybody... You know what? Here's the funniest thing. By the way, I can hum and whistle probably every John Williams theme all at the same time because I know them inside, as many of you do, I'm sure. You know, obviously, John Williams is most famous for his Star Wars stuff. Sure. But every year at the John Williams in concert at the Hollywood Bowl, I go to it every year. I've gone to it for about 5 years in a row now. Every year thinking this could be the last time he does this, so I got to go. Every year, as soon as he starts playing a Star Wars piece, the Hollywood Bowl erupts into an ocean of light. Because all of a sudden, I remember the first time I was there, I had no idea people do it. Everybody pulls out lightsabers. The whole audience pulls out lightsabers. I filmed it on my phone. Like, it's an unbelievable. So they're playing, whether it's bum, 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 and everybody's got their lightsabers out and waving.
How
it's like
are they
a crazy
fitting
thing.
their light? Is that a lightsaber in your pants?
Yeah.
Happy to, yeah. I mean, I just bought Tom a lightsaber, and it is he's terrifying the cats because all he does is run around with a lightsaber. I got it at Disneyland.
John, you just happened to have yours on you when you were there?
I may or may not have one in my car right now.
Perfect. Okay. I thought you'd be ready.
But despite that, it's when a piece of music ends and it's quiet, and then the lone horn, bum, 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 people lose their shit. When that Superman theme starts to play and just that horn, like lone, and the effect of it is so great. You got to imagine this, like 30,000 people there, dead silence, and bum, 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 bum. Everybody forgets we live in a civilized society.
Right.
And
people
just starts
are crying.
urinating and crying and it is amazing. It's
a beacon of hope. It's a moment it's that feeling of, wow, there is someone who's going to save the day.
You know what? And by the way, if you have not listened to it, because you guys also know I love Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel theme. I love that theme. Look on YouTube for Williams Zimmer Superman mashup. Somebody took the two pieces of music and laid them over top of each other to make one piece of music. And whereas you think it would be an audible mess, it's majestic. Go listen to that if you get a chance. All right, what's next?
All right, Orange Hand. Question for Erin.
Hey.
Some actors have said their job is just to say lines. Others believe in speaking to the writers if they have questions about their characters' lines or actions. What is your position?
Okay, I understand this, and I'm going to try to talk to the camera. This is very bizarre because my job is to not look at the camera, but yes, I understand the idea of your job is to say lines. That's when you have an actor-proof script, and what I mean by actor-proof script is that the writing is so good that you don't really have to do much. You just say the words, and everything just comes naturally because it's the way that real humans speak and act. Now, my job as an actor is I will try my best to say what is on the page, speak the speech as I have written it, pray thee, Shakespeare. But if I'm getting to a point where it's just not coming out of my mouth and it's not flowing, I will go to the writer and say, is there another way that I can say this? It makes sense for my mouth to say it like this, as long as it has the same idea and you're not changing what the character's saying. Yes, a lot of writers are very open to manipulating the dialogue so that it just flows in a more natural way for that actor. And I have no problem asking for that.
Here's a question then. Do you find you have any difference to your approach when you're, say, a series regular like on Spartacus or Astronaut Wives, as opposed to when you're doing a feature guest spot on Blacklist or The Flash? There is.
Absolutely.
Which way does it lean, depending on...
When you're a series regular... I actually posted something on Instagram when I was a guest star. I forget what I was on, but I went to my wardrobe fitting, and there was a box of Manolo Blahniks for the series regular and a box of Aldo shoes for me. And I said, therein lies the difference between the series regular and the guest star. No, as a series regular, yes, you are that character, and you know more about your character than any director who's going to come on the set, maybe with the exception of the director who does the pilot and the last episode of the season. You have a director come in, and yes, you want them to help you, guide you along, but that person's not going to know more about your character. So you can absolutely say, okay, I know my character would be a little bit more like this. As a guest star, you are exactly that. You have been invited to dinner. You don't get to dictate what we're having to eat. Like, you eat your food, and yes, there have been wonderful experiences where I've gone in and I've worked with the director before, and I've said, hey, how about if we try it like this, or I have this idea. But also in network television specifically, that script has been checked and rechecked and triple checked by so many people. By the time it gets to the set, you don't change a word. There is no room for improv in network television. And rightly so. Like, people get paid good money and have worked very hard to get to a position where they're writing for a network television show. You don't need some random guest star actor mucking it up.
All right. What's next? Good question, Orange.
Hector Jeter. Hey, Gio and Rob / Erin. Did a double feature with a girlfriend last night, Dog's Way Home, which was just okay, not terrible. Then Glass, I actually really liked it.
The funny thing is, as laughable as that Dog's Way Home trailer was, which basically gives the whole movie away, first act, second act, third act, conclusion, people seem to like the movie. And I took a pass on it because I just couldn't get over the laughability of the trailer. But surprisingly, people are kind of liking it. Yeah, like I said before, Hector, there are people who like Glass, and that's working for them. That's the beauty of the subjectivity film. I wish it worked for me. I was cheering for the film. Did not work for me, but hey, there you go. All right, what's next?
Eric Saul. IMDb is a credible source for cast and crew, but it says Bradley Cooper is a producer on Joker, and Phillips was a producer on Star is Born. Interesting.
Well, here's the thing about IMDb and taking it for its credibility on films or projects. It is pretty much take it to the bank, credible and 100% accurate post the movie release. Mm-hmm. A movie that's come out, a TV show that's come out, pretty much you can guarantee, take it to the bank if it says it on there, that's what it is. Not always completely accurate when it comes to movies that have not yet come out. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of been my experience. Now remember, a lot of people get producer credit. If somebody's production company is lent this 5% of these rights so somebody could get a movie made, they'll get a producer's credit. Producer is the most nebulous kind of term in Hollywood. A producer could mean one of 1,000 things. Steven Spielberg can be a producer on a movie where he does everything. He's also been a producer on 1,000 movies where he once sat in a room and had coffee with the director and he gets a producer's credit. So it really all depends. I wouldn't read too much into it at this point, though. All right, what's next?
All right, DC Patience. Guilty pleasure. Been watching She-Ra on Netflix. I want He-Man. Make it happen, John and Rob.
Yes, because I have the power. Dun, dun. Okay, so I have not seen a She-Ra episode. I know some people really like it. There's a great documentary on He-Man. You're gasping right now. You didn't know there was a She-Ra on Netflix right now, right? And
have I been living under a rock? No, you don't understand. I just Marie Kondo'd my whole house, and I'm getting rid of things, and I was going through old sheets, and I found my She-Ra sheets
you gotta watch
that I
then.
slept on when I was a child, and I couldn't. They sparked so much joy. I could not get rid of them, and I said, one day my daughter will sleep on my She-Ra sheets, and she will feel that power too, and she will fly on a Pegasus. So, and I'm a TV girl. Like, I haven't seen most of the movies we're talking about because I'm all about TV, and I'm flabbergasted that I have missed this.
Ray,
and I need to leave right now and go watch it.
Ray, you're more synced into Have you had a chance to watch the She-Ra stuff yet?
Actually, the only thing I can say is I haven't started it, but the animation is different from...
Yeah, so Ray's saying that he hasn't started it yet, but he's saying the animation is a little bit different of a style.
But I'm going to check it out.
Ray's gonna check it out.
Hey
I'll
man,
check it out
let's get
sometime.
a live action. I will. My hair's growing out. It's getting longer. I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, what's next?
Cast this woman. Cinematic Galaxy. John, you must have been cloned from Tony Shalhoub.
Really, I get Liam Neeson a lot. I don't know why. I get Liam Neeson a lot. No idea. I get Wayne Gretzky a lot. I've never gotten Tony Shalhoub, but.
Oh, interesting.
Which is funny because I love his show right now. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is fantastic. He's
I
so
did
good
a
in that.
staged reading with him last week, actually.
Really?
Yes. I got invited to this stage reading, and what was really funny is we took a break, and everybody checks their phones, and I looked down on Instagram. Someone commented something like, "Erin, love your work. Are you ever going to go back to acting?" And I just started.
Meanwhile,
laughing.
you're sitting in this thing.
And
yeah.
he looked at me and he goes, "What happened?" And I said to him, and I said what I just read, and he said, people say that to me all the time. I said, no, Tony Shalhoub, they do not. He said, I'm telling you, I'll walk down the street and people will say, I love Monk. When are you going to start acting again? And I said, well, thank you for making me feel better.
Yeah, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel
Tony
is on
Shalhoub.
Amazon, so
I
maybe
know,
a lot
right?
of
I'm
people
like,
are still
yeah,
a little...
you're fine.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, Darth Impact. Endgame post-credit scene. Stark gets a call. Hey, Tony, it's Reed Richards. Sorry I haven't been in touch. We were stuck in the negative zone for a couple of weeks. Tony, 2 weeks? I haven't heard from you in over 10 years.
Yeah, there's still this grandioso fairy tale out there that some people believe that in Endgame they're going to start bringing the Fox properties into the... It's not going to happen. This was a movie that was written, developed, all set in stone, everything long before. And by the way, the deal between Disney and Fox is still not complete. It's still not complete. Probably not going to be complete till March, maybe even April. So I would not hold my breath. However, let's say it was 6 months from now and they were going to have Endgame coming out. That sounds like a very feasible thing to me. Then in a post-credit scene, because that's a perfect way to just hint to the audience that Fantastic Four is now in the MCU. Reed Richards on the phone. That would be a great idea, Darth Impact. Just ain't going to happen now. It ain't going to happen right now. But hey, Kevin Feige has surprised us on more than one occasion. But yeah, it's just the impracticality of it is just too monumental at this point. All right, what's next?
Nazareth Lockhart. Saw Green Book and Roma. Loved Green Book more.
Dude, everybody is going crazy over Roma. So when I watched it, I was so excited because I love Alfonso Cuarón and I love his movies and blah, blah, and I was bored stiff with Roma. I did not enjoy it at all. Green Book, it's magnificent. I love Green Book. The problem is Green Book the director for Green Book did not get a Best Director nomination. Only 4 times in Hollywood history has a movie won Best Picture without having its director at least nominated for Best Director. The most recent, of course, was Ben Affleck not being nominated for Argo, and Argo won Best Picture. So Green Book ain't going to win. The other front runner that I believe, which is A Star Is Born, their director, Bradley Cooper, also was not nominated for Best Director. So you can pretty much scratch off Green Book and scratch off Star Is Born. I would love it if Black Klansman won, but I don't think it's going to. It's probably going to be Roma. Roma will probably be the Best Picture winner. All right, what's next?
Which is interesting because it's like, it might be one of those films where you see it once and you're like, this is an epic, kind of what Rob was saying the other day, just talking about a cinematic feat, but then you're never going to watch it again. Like, that's like, it's like The Artist or something like that. Like, I haven't seen The Artist
that's
since.
a deep cut.
No. Deep cut. Yeah. I
I've seen
love
The Artist
but
like 7 times.
I was like, damn.
I've only ever watched it once.
I watched it
couldn't
one
watch it
time.
again. And I enjoyed it.
It was great.
It was
But
great.
I just don't need to.
I just don't need to see it again. And I think that's what's gonna happen with Roma. But okay. DC Patience. Is there more Oscar hate for Black Panther than Bohemian? Why?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Black Panther, again, statistically speaking, we went over it yesterday. Only at the last 89 movies nominated for Best Picture, only one other film has been nominated for Best Picture that wasn't considered worthy of the Academy to get nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Screenplay, or Best Cinematography. Only once. Now, that was Selma, directed by Ava DuVernay, and that movie was magnificent, and I do believe that movie deserved to be nominated for Best Picture. So that doesn't help the case. That doesn't help the case when you've got, well, wait a minute, Academy, you're saying not good enough for Best Director, not good enough for actors or actresses, supporting actors, supporting actresses, not good enough for be considered as the Best Screenplay, not good enough to be considered for Best Cinematography. Why did you nominate it for Best Picture?
Right.
And look, the other part of the argument is there are comic book movie fans, I will admit I am one of them, that don't even believe that Black Panther was the second best comic book movie of the year. The best comic book movie of the year was Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. The second best comic book movie of the year was Avengers Infinity War. And the third best comic book movie of the year was Black Panther. And yet Black Panther gets the nomination. But that does not mean that everybody else thought that Black Panther was the third best comic book movie of the year. That doesn't mean that other people can't legitimately think that Black Panther was the best comic book movie of the year. And look, I'm asking everybody, I said this on the Weekly Hero yesterday, while we can have this debate about did the right comic book movie get nominated, can we just celebrate that for the first time in history, a comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture? They snubbed Logan like that was the best fucking fucking movie of 2017. I still cannot believe Logan didn't get nominated for Best Picture. But let's just celebrate for a second. We can debate for the next coming years about whether the right comic book movie got nominated or not. Yeah, we can have that debate for a long time. But Black Panther's a great movie. Even if I don't think it should have been nominated for Best Picture, it's still a great movie, and it's a comic book movie. It got nominated for this. Let's just bask in the glow of that for a little while. So that would be my message to everybody. And watch Logan again. Okay, what's next?
I was walking down the street yesterday and I saw just like a bunch of trash and pills, and it reminded me of the that sounds bad, but it's true. And then it reminded me of the quote in Into the Spider-Verse. He's like, I think it's a Banksy, like I was just like immediately like it was like a giant pile of trash. I was like, that's great.
He stole a bagel is still my favorite line of that movie.
So good.
He stole a bagel. All right.
So subtle. Luke 1-2-3-4. I want Deuce Bigelow intergalactic gigolo.
That's, you know what? I've got friends who love Deuce Bigelow. I never liked that movie, but I've got friends who will like want to get together sometime. Like when I'm back in Canada, it's like, let's pop on Deuce Bigelow. I'm like, what are you talking about? But that movie's got to fun. Did you ever see Deuce Bigelow, American Gigolo?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's going
I
backwards.
obviously I know the name, but
Rob Schneider.
Rob
Schneider,
Schneider,
yeah.
right. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't get me on board for that. All right, what's next?
Hector Jeter. I demand a re-review from critics for Hook. It doesn't deserve a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes boil dripping beef fart sniffing bubble butt.
Bangarang, Hector, bangarang. I freaking love Hook.
28%.
Yeah, no, it
Wow.
did not. When
Hook?
Hook first came out, it was not received well.
Robin Williams Hook.
Robin Williams Hook.
That's shocking to me.
When it came out originally, it was not received well, and to this day, I do not understand why. I love Hook. I love that movie. I think it's fantastic and fun and imaginative, and it just makes you feel like a little kid again, and all that kind of good stuff. And I just will never understand why more people. And then, I'll talk about Hook on my show sometimes, and there'll be comments in the comment section. Nah, Hook wasn't that good, and blah blah. I'm like, I thought everybody.
Rufio, Dante
amazing.
Bosco.
Yeah.
People still shout out Rufio when he walks down the street.
I thought everybody loved Hook, and apparently I was wrong. All right, let's just take a couple more here.
Okay, great. Ant Banks, 1984. Which is worse, being chased by Leatherface through a dark wooded forest or being chased by the tall man from Phantasm through a cemetery?
I'm gonna go Leatherface. There's just
Yeah.
I'm taking Leatherface on that one. Not just because the classic. There's just something utterly terrifying about Leatherface.
For me, it's not necessarily Leatherface versus the tall man. It's the forest versus the cemetery. Like, I know that a cemetery has to be within a certain number of blocks. And so if I just run in a straight direction, I will hit a street and civilization. A forest, it's just all over the place. You don't know where you're going. And there's no exit. Forests scare the crap out of me. I'll never move to a wooded area.
By the way, there is at the big world famous Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, they have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre maze.
Nope.
That we took Ray through. Ray gutted it out. Man, if you want to hear squealing, go to that with Ray sometime. All right, two more.
If Alfonso Cuarón wins, he will have been the 5th Mexican director to win in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Also, do you think Roma will win both Best Pick and foreign film?
I remember when, what was that Guillermo del Toro film with the little girl? Pan's Labyrinth. Thank you very much.
Incredible.
I remember that one year.
Eyes.
Pan's Labyrinth was nominated for Best Picture, and it was nominated for Best Foreign Film.
Oh, I didn't know it was Best Picture nom.
But then you're like, well, do we even need to bother going through the Best Foreign Film thing? Because if one of the nominees for Best Foreign Film is also nominated for Best Picture,
that would be kind of tragic if it didn't.
You have some explaining to do if it doesn't win the Best Foreign Picture thing, right? So, yes, I think Roma winning Best Foreign Picture is a foregone conclusion. At least it should be, because if it doesn't win Best Foreign Picture, then people are going to go, so why is Roma, if it's not even the Best Foreign Picture, how is it nominated for Best Picture? If you're saying this other movie was better than Roma, how is Roma nominated? So, yeah, it's a foregone conclusion that has to happen. Or, again, they're going to have some embarrassing explaining to do. All right, last question of the day.
This is from Luke Woodward. Who do you think it was that put coffee grounds in the garbage disposal in Civil War?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Who put coffee grounds in this? That was a great line. That's one of the great things about these MCU movies is that they'll, in the middle of something serious, they'll pepper in something funny. And that line was great.
That was Iron Man, right?
That was.
Yeah.
Ray is telling me to do the next one. What's the next one?
It's still from Luke. I can't do the butter straw trick that you were talking about the other day because there's not enough room under the dispenser for the straw. I tried it and got butter all over my hand.
Isn't that embarrassing when you get the goo all over your hands? All right, so
I thought this was a family show.
here's the thing. All right, the butter. The trick is, here's the trick, because this is vital information for movie fans. The trick is this, because I don't know if you knew this about me, Erin, but like to me, popcorn is nothing but a butter delivery device.
What?
Butter.
I call shenanigans.
Butter.
Nope.
Is my favorite food. So
Okay.
now the problem, of course, as you all know, is you put butter on your popcorn, but once you eat the first like inch of the popcorn, there's no more butter.
Right.
So here's what you do. Now you can only do this in theaters that have self-service butter dispensaries. Sometimes at a theater they'll put the butter on for you, like I believe at ArcLight they put the butter on for you.
Fascists.
But at theaters that allow you to do stuff, what you got to do is you put the straw down to near the bottom. Now, the bag, though, you have to have off the edge of the counter. Because you're right, there's not enough room between the nozzle releasing the butter and your bag. So you got to bring the bag off, put the straw down to the bottom, put the end of the straw on the butter nozzle, and then you start moving the bag and the straw and move the bag down around so you get a full, glorious, satisfying butter experience.
I'm mortified. That sounds hard. That sounds disgusting to me.
So good.
I never put butter on my popcorn. I never do, because then the popcorn gets all soggy, and then you get that the one chunk that just got completely buttered.
Yeah.
And then, no, not a fan of that. Is that even real butter? Is it grass-fed? Is it ghee butter? Is it clarified butter? Since you are a big fan of butter, do you have a butter preference?
You got to understand, Erin, this is like hot talk to me. Like this is exciting to me.
Wow.
Yes, no, I don't have any particular.
I should be charging.
I don't have any particular brand of butter. I just love butter on my popcorn. You know what the funny thing is? I don't eat popcorn any other time. I don't eat popcorn at home. I don't get.
Yeah.
It's a Pavlovian dog response I have when I walk into a movie theater. My mouth starts to salivate, and Then the strangest thing is, I only eat about a third of the bag. I'll get a large popcorn. I'll eat about a third of the bag.
Why don't you just get a small popcorn then? If you know you're not going to eat
You
the whole
must
thing,
get
just
the
get
large.
A
So you can do the
with
straw
my
trick.
with my
Oh,
AMC
Lord.
A-list, I get the free upgrade
so
anyway.
you
So
might
just
as
in
well
case
take
Anne
that.
wants some, blah blah blah.
Butter is my favorite food. Is definitely the quote of the day.
Yes, and I will admit I stole that line from Chris Pratt as Andy in Parks and Rec.
Oh, he
yeah.
has so many that are
Butter's my favorite food,
worthy
yeah.
of stealing. He is
Oh my God, I love Chris Pratt in that. All right, guys. Hey, listen, for everybody from Cinematic Galaxy, Ant Banks, Murray Reich, Alex Post, all the way down. Don't worry, I'm going to get to your questions that you sent in on today's companion video that I'm going to do a little bit later today. So keep your eyes open for that. Your questions will be answered. We just ran out of time for today. Hey, guys, I want to thank my friend, Erin Cummings, for being here. Erin, thanks for coming and classing up the joint.
This has been so fun. Thanks so much for having me.
By the way, I didn't mention this off the top, and I should. On top of being just a fabulous person and a tremendously talented actress, and in the Flash universe, which I think is the coolest thing,
I'm excited.
you are also one of the baddest women on the planet. You are a cancer survivor, and you have a new podcast that's launching called.
Oh, actually,
Wait, can I not talk about it?
Well, no, we can totally talk about it, but because there's something already online, and we just discovered yesterday that unfortunately our logo looks incredibly offensive.
Oh, dear.
It looks like the logo for a group that we do not want to be associated with at all.
Okay.
So I don't want to drive people to the podcast
Just yet.
It is a cancer-related podcast, but it's actually like a funny, because yes, we can laugh about certain things when you have cancer. In fact, if you don't, that's not good. So I would love for us to talk about it next week when it launches, even whether I'm here in studio.
And by the way,
or not.
I am her first guest.
Yes,
I'm the
John
first guest.
Campea is my first guest, and we actually the episode is called "Stupid Shit People Say When You Have Cancer." So even if you don't have cancer, it's a great show to listen to because all those stupid things that fall out of your mouth when someone goes, "I have cancer," or some other terrible thing. These are things you just don't want to say to them. And we'll give you a few things that you should say. So next week it is launching on January 30th. And John will...
I'll let you know the name of it once you're ready for that.
Yes, he
Got
will
it.
tell you everything. So next Wednesday.
And where can people find you online right now?
Online, people can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Erin L. Cummings. I do read everything and I do try to respond to everything. And then on Facebook, and I think that's /Erin Cummings fan page.
And by the way, one other thing, because I just like to brag about my friend here.
Aw.
When you were a series regular on that show, Detroit 187,
Yes.
which takes place in Detroit, you
and
founded...
was nominated for an NAACP award.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
You also started a charity out there called Mittens for Detroit, which was because, people can get cold with homelessness in Los Angeles. On the East Coast, it's a totally different thing.
It might.
And you started
might
that
die.
charity, and you just do all sorts of great things. You're just an amazing woman.
I do believe that everybody has incredible ideas. Every single day, we're all walking through the world, and we always go, "Oh, hey, somebody should do that." And why not be that somebody? If you have a great idea, instead of saying somebody else should do this, just say, well, how could I do this? And every single day, I mean, I'm not an expert on cancer. I'm not a doctor. And why would anybody want to listen to me talking about it just because I had it? Lots of people have. Well, you don't have to be an expert on something in order to do it. In fact, you were the one who taught me that, because I came to you and I said, I don't know what I'm doing, and I am really terrified because this isn't me hiding behind someone else's clothing, someone else's makeup and hair, someone else's dialogue. This is Erin Cummings talking about something, and what if people hate it? And what if I'm not good at it? And you said to me, who cares? You just got to start. And because of that conversation, it's actually now launching, and I'm really thankful for your encouragement, because you said, you know what? Why wouldn't people listen to you? And I think everybody needs to carry that around with them. If somebody needs to do it, why shouldn't that somebody be me?
Well, I'm glad that you are. And I think it's awesome, the stuff you're doing. And also, I want to thank, of course, a fellow butter lover. Well, I don't know if she was probably just yanking my chain. But, of course, Ashley Whalen over there. Ashley, where can people find you?
I don't think I'll love butter as much as you do, but
Nah.
I'm there with you. All right, I'm signing off. My Instagram is Ashley Whalen, ASHLEYYWHELAN, and Twitter at AshAttack1.
And, of course, special thanks to the guy running the productions over here, fact checker Jonathan. We got Ray back there. And most importantly, we've got you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget, for those of you who are Patreon supporters of the John Campea channel, and thank you so much for being Patreon supporters, don't forget the new Patreon exclusive podcast episode of Best of the Week with me, Robert, and Ashley is going up tomorrow. Keep your eyes open for that. That'll do it for me for now, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at John Campea. Thanks for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.